The president also offered his sharpest criticism yet of Israel when he was asked about its handling of the war against Hamas.
The conduct of the response in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip, has been over the top.
Israel and Ukraine will be on the agenda today.
Described in the report as sympathetic elderly man who is well-meaning. That is not how you want your president to be perceived.
No,
what
but
do you make of that?
He leaned right into it last night and said, I am a sympathetic elderly man who has a good memory. And that'll be the thing he's got to convince and prove to voters.
This year is an important year. And when he has these moments, and we were talking about this off air, Tony, I mean, this is something that is glaring moving into this year.
And if you're holding a press conference about your mental acuity and to mix up Egypt and Mexico, Mexico's not even in the conversation. No questions about Mexico. It's not the topic of the press conference. It's not a good look.
No, and it was all about the southern border of Gaza, so he went to Mexico. Who among us hasn't screwed up those two countries before, but we're not president.
Hallie, as we look at this and analyze this, I mean, it's
Friday
a body
morning.
blow to President Biden in a place where he already was vulnerable. How damaging do you think this could be?
Well, here's another phrase for it, gut punch. That's the way that one source described it to me on the Democratic side, Savannah.
I just have a few seconds, Hallie, but I just have to ask, I mean, listen, neither one of these candidates are young men, let's be honest, okay? And both have had senior moments. Donald Trump recently confusing Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi on January 6th. There have been other gaffes about, you know, we're going to start World War II and so forth. Do voters treat them equally in terms of that issue?
They don't, and we see that in the polls.
Pause it for a second. And that's because they're not equal on this. Have there been screw-ups from Trump? Yeah, a few, but everybody knows it's not because of his cognitive decline. This president who is out there in front of the American people, not as often as he should be, obviously, but still, on a regular basis, every single time he shows us that he's not fit for this duty. Every single time.
Yeah. And as you know, this is all from the Friday morning show. So this is this is the mainstream media failing to read the room. They're initially just defending him. There's more. Yeah.
They don't, and we see that in the polls. Only 48, fewer than half of voters, Savannah, in our most recent poll have the same concerns about Donald Trump's age and mental fitness for the job than they do about President Biden, for whatever reason that is.
For whatever reason, they can't figure it out.
I know.
They can't figure out the reason. The obvious reason we just related. Yeah, it's not for that. That's not it. Jeez.
But yeah, one thing that was mentioned in that montage that really got no traction was
his criticism of Israel.
Yeah, over the
really
top, going after terrorists. Come on.
Really bad.
Ooh, yeah. Keep in mind, though, that this president has been deemed unfit to stand trial, but he's fine as president. Hell, he might even get 5 years left in him as president.
Yeah.
Come on.
Because, I mean, serving as president, that's not as important as standing trial. Right? Yeah. I mean, obviously, you can do one and not the other. That makes perfect sense.
All right, so that was Friday morning.
So then, did things change? ABC News actually called him out a bit.
But on those references to his age, he was seething. His anger was palpable in the room, gripping, almost red in the face. I asked him, has your memory gotten worse? He was stern. He was clearly frustrated by the question. He said, my memory is fine, almost short. But look, over the course of the rest of the questions, you saw it. He got more angry, more dismissive even of voters' concerns. And I don't think that tact is working for him. Anger isn't Joe Biden's brand. And it's not the kind of thing voters want to hear. They want to hear, they want to feel heard on this. They don't want to feel like their concerns, what they're seeing with their own eyes, is being dismissed outright.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Okay. Then NBC also called him out after ABC did.
President Biden spending the weekend here at his home while we expect his surrogates will start doing that damage control, fanning out and characterizing the special counsel as a political opportunist. Now, Robert Hur's report this week has laser-focused attention on the president's age and memory. This investigation ended with prosecutors deciding against any charges, but they accused the president of willfully taking and keeping government documents. Special counsel Hur also went to some lengths, I think, to point out the president's age. He's 81. And to say outright that he has significant memory lapses.
So now we're pointing that out.
So you got ABC. NBC, not to be left out. Here's CBS News calling him out.
This is not a new problem for the White House and for the Biden campaign. There have been long-standing, mounting questions about his age and mental sharpness. Wow. And so this only adds to those concerns. And that is why you are seeing so much damage control. That is why the president insisted that he could have the opportunity to take questions and address this head on. At the same time, though, Catherine, another issue might be how willing they are to acknowledge that Americans feel this way and have concerns about his age and cognitive state, because when asked about it twice and how he would reassure voters who have those concerns, he grew angry and frustrated and lashed out at reporters for even asking the question. But certainly they are well aware that this is going to follow them well into the campaign. And now that you have it written out in this extensive report, there are concerns about how this could do real political damage.
Huh.
Yeah, did you see the plethora of op-eds over the weekend in the New York Times? I think we have the headlines of all of them on the screen here. You got to see this. I mean, the New York Times is saying, nah, we're good. Time to move on from Joe. I mean, look at that. He said, the challenges of an aging president. Mr. President, ditch the stealth about health. The question is not if Biden should step aside, it's how. Democrats can no longer stay silent about Biden.
Wow.
New York Times, all those are op-eds.
That's interesting.
It sure is.
That's fascinating. Somebody also noticed that, this is not the same guy that started running for president back in 2018. And when you see this video, it's like, whoa, okay, yeah, there's a bit of a difference now. Here's a flashback, Joe, in 2018.
Is age a legitimate issue?
It is a legitimate issue. Sure it is. And I think people are going to judge it.
Pause it for a second.
If I were to run,
look at just the expression in his eyes. Just his facial expression is completely different. Yes, you can see the lights are on. Somebody's maybe even home. And he is so much sharper just 5-6 years ago now. All right, let's see this. And it goes a little something.
Is age a legitimate issue?
It is a legitimate issue. Sure it is. And I think people are going to judge it. If I were to run, I think they're going to judge me on my vitality.
Yeah.
Can I still run up the steps of Air Force 2? Am I still in good shape? Do I have all my faculties? Am I energetic? I think it's totally legitimate. People ask those questions.
Yeah, and we're asking and we're answering them. You're answering them for us, all in the negative. Every question has been answered.
That is
in a way he doesn't want it to be.
I think
it's incredible.
I kind of think what may have happened this weekend after Thursday night is one thing that we've often said on the show is when it's about the press, when they are affected,
then they're pissed.
Who was he lashing out at? The press.
Right.
He was in their face. He was snapping at them. You diminish their ability to do their job. Now it's an issue for them.
That's right.
Not before, when we've been talking about this since before he was president.
Yep.
No, now it's an issue.
If it's not about the country, it's about they themselves. Yes.